Once you start to experience this directness that's here without words, this directness, this open space of awakeness that you are, that you can't actually get out of, all of the stories and all of the labels and all of the narratives that are portraying life as if you are some character that's on a timeline, that's trying to get somewhere, that's trying to earn something, that's trying to become something more than what you already are, just starts to feel less and less appealing and more illusory and less just something that I want to involve myself in. Because awakening, enlightenment, it's just the recognition of what's here that's already awake. Right? And you can't point to it. Right? It's not. Excuse me. It's not in a specific location. But it is radical in a sense because so many people live their lives as if the thoughts that are playing in their mind have some kind of ultimate reality, right? Whether it's thoughts about wanting to be a good person or earn a lot of money or find the perfect relationship or make your parents proud or heal your karma or heal your trauma or, be a good student for your guru or reach enlightenment, right? Those are all thoughts. Those are all stories. And there's nothing wrong with stories, but they're stories, right? The reality to the story is seen to be just words that are playing, that are basically portraying you as if you're this character that's on a timeline. This character that's trying to find the end of suffering, that's trying to free itself from suffering, that's trying to go on a spiritual journey in order to attain this goal called enlightenment, and then it imagines that once I find that goal, I'm going to have no problems. Everything's going to be great. I'm just going to be happy all the time, right? Wah, 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 because it's not really like that. And I'm sorry if you believed people that have told that to you. But that's just another, that idea of what awakening is. It's just another fabrication of thought about a reality that's not happening right now. Okay? So this phenomenon that I'm speaking about, that we call awakening, right? Or self-realization, it's not something that the character achieves. It's not something that is garnered by hard work. It's really just the recognition of what's already here. And recognition is not hard. It's not hard. This is what I do in my sessions almost every day, okay? But it doesn't mean that if you've had a recognition, you're just going to be, everything's going to be roses and there's going to be no more emotions, right? Thoughts can still exist. Triggers can still exist, right? Stories can still be there. Nightmares can even happen, right? There can still be painful dynamics that you experience with family or coworkers. But once you start to see that so much of that suffering was a fabricated story that was created in thought, that was only real in thought, it starts to cut the juice a little bit and the story starts to feel less important. Spiritual people are always talking about trying to find the end of suffering, right? I think even the Buddha, the Buddha saying life is suffering. That's the definition of life. To live is to suffer. Okay, that's one intellectual way of looking at it. But right now, where's the suffering? Right now, where's the problem? The identified mind believes that it needs to go on a journey in order to find a moment in the future where all of its problems will be solved, and that will happen when it has purged all the negativity from the body and from the mind. Not now, though, later. And I'm not knocking trauma work. I'm not knocking, if you have mental health problems, get therapy, get help for that. This isn't a space for therapy. I'm not a therapist, right? I'm not trying to pretend to be a therapist and that I'm going to heal you, that I have some kind of special medicine that's going to just make your emotions stop. But what I'm pointing to is the fact that the suffering, for the most part, is a story. It's the thoughts referencing moments in the past, bringing those in, saying that there's a reality to those moments that happened in the past that's happened now, that I'm a character that suffers and I'm going to keep suffering in the future unless I do something about it. Right? But the only thing that's ever happening is the direct experience of this, of here, right? Of you now breathing, inhaling, exhaling, now, and now, and now. And now even take away the word now, because that's that's acquiescing to the illusion of time, that there's a past and a future, and I can only understand what the now is because I'm making a comparison. Take away time right now. If you take away time, the reference to time, where is this character that suffers? The mind continues to try to fix something that doesn't need fixing. Constantly. Right? And so the more and more that I do these sessions, the more I'm actually starting to get away from the whole feel into the feelings, process the emotions. And there's a place for that, for sure. But just in the clear and simple direct pointing that I offer, what are you without the future? Because I'll be talking to someone and they'll be like, oh, there's a lot of fear coming up. I'm worried I'm going to dissolve or something, or I'm worried that I'm going to lose control. It's like, okay, what are you without the future? Oh yeah, there's no fear. There's only fear when I imagine the future. What if that's what enlightenment is? What if enlightenment is just a recognition of what's here without the future? Right? What are you without the next right now? Take away the next. The recognition that the mind is causing thoughts which take you away from the present. Yeah. But even that's just happening. So there's actually nothing to fight. There's nothing to resist. Because even when we resist the thoughts, or we say that the thoughts shouldn't be happening, we all have these certain triggers, right? For some people, it's relationships. For some people, it's money. For some people, it's health. It's like there's always that one, or multiple, but typically there's like one situation that people have, kind of area of life that it's just like, I'm fine in the other areas, but this one thing, it winds me up. And it's like, okay, what are you without the need to fix that right now? Right? What are you without the fear of the next? What if you don't have to fix it? What if you can just allow the nervous system to be as it is? I've worked in the healing world for a while now, and I've had, many like repeat clients. And again, there's a place for it. I've benefited greatly from, psychedelic medicine and different like somatic therapies and learning how to feel my emotions. So I'm not saying a black and white thing, but I've also seen many people get so wrapped up in this story of healing and fixing a self that only exists in words, that only exists in concepts, that only exists in the past and the future. And then they keep saying, I keep feeling it, but this energy doesn't want to leave. How do I make it leave? It's like, well, have you considered just stopping for a second? What if the energy is just there? Can you just let it be there? Because that's what's appearing now. But when we become spiritual, we begin to fight the human experience. And we begin to act as if there's a more spiritual version, or maybe what we call our higher self, that needs to navigate and control the lower self. But both are just thoughts. Both are just mental positions. Both are just concepts. Everything is just thoughts and stories, but what happens if we let go of everything? We just exist? Yeah, so there's no you to let go of everything. Right? Because this idea that I need to let go of my thoughts and my stories in order to be some certain spiritual expression is just another story of a person on a timeline. So what I do in my sessions and in these lives as well, so if anyone would like to come on and interact, you're welcome to raise your hand if you want to be guided, but I just do direct pointing. Direct pointing, so you can have an experience of this clarity that's here that's not a story. Right? This clarity that's here that doesn't depend on words. What are you without your story right now? Can you feel into that potential? If you just remove your story from your reference right now. What are you without your memories? You could call it existence. But what are you? Right? Where is this Anastasia character? Can you find her? Can you find this little controller somewhere that says, I'm Anastasia? Right? There's a body there, there's thoughts there, there's feelings there, there's projections. There's spiritual concepts likely. But where's the center? It's only existing in story. So Anastasia, because otherwise what's the point of being born? Well, there's no point. I mean, any point, any reason that I give you would just be another story. Right? And we can create all these stories and live in the mental realm as if there's some ultimate reality to it. And a lot of times we do that. It's fun. And there's value to, learning and to exchanging ideas. But it's like the mind is looking for an explanation for something that doesn't need an explanation, right? I could say it's a miracle, right? What is just being? right? An expression of divine creation, just like the mosquitoes are surviving, just like the fish are surviving, just like the birds in the sky are flying, are experiencing life. We're part of that, right? We're storytelling animals. And we imagine all these things and all these special, spiritual journey and, karma. And okay, it's fun. It's fun to play like that. Nothing wrong with it. It's all innocence. But when you're ready to see through the illusion, it starts with taking away the story. Both can exist, right? You can still reference the past. You can still plan for the future. It's not like you're just going to be walking around with completely no mind through clarity, right? But there's a space here that isn't dependent on the story. It's neutral, it's impersonal, it's clear. And this is what I help people experience directly in my sessions. Yeah, we make all these stories, but everything is like a dream or a movie. It starts to feel more and more like that. Yeah. The thoughts are just appearing, the feelings are just appearing, the emotions are just appearing. And the thoughts want to come and they want to interpret. Yeah, we assign meaning to storyline when it prevents simply being, existing, living life. Yeah, exactly. And there's, again, like nothing wrong with it, but nothing right with it either. Because it actually ends up being a distortion of reality. And it makes sense that we have names, that we have labels for the objects around us. But the mind turns into this crazy, like hungry, like thoughts. Everybody! Right? It's just thoughts, thinking thoughts, looking for thoughts, asking about thoughts, looking for questions, looking for more answers. Hey, Sam, good to see you. Right? It's just never ending. But when you once you start searching for the truth and you start to kind of wonder what is life about, and you really just slow down the experience, and it's like, okay, maybe you've done some retreats, maybe you've read the Bhagavad Gita, or you've done some yoga, and you've got some concepts under the belt, and then you're starting to be introduced to the direct pointing. And sometimes you're just introduced to the direct pointing right away. There's no prerequisite for this. This is completely universal. You don't need spiritual understanding in order to know yourself, in order to have a direct experience of yourself. This actually has nothing to do with spirituality, even non-duality. This is the non-conceptual that we're experiencing, the non-conceptual that's always right here. Okay? So once you really begin to have this direct experience of what's happening in the moment, right? Not in the story that the mind is playing, but in the moment, just in its most basic, the most basic way that I can interpret it is that we're mammals surviving, from a storyline, but that is only ever happening right now. Okay? And in this now moment, there's many things that appear spontaneously. Basically everything is appearing spontaneously. Like I said, thoughts, feelings, all of that. And when you really look at what thoughts are, it's just words that come and go. And it's like those words, it's like there's a belief in those words, there's a belief in those thoughts, that there's some kind of entity behind those words that's thinking those thoughts, that's saying, I like this, I want this, I need to get this, I regret this, right? The I is always hiding behind a doing, a feeling, a thinking. It's hiding behind a verb. But when you actually look for the I, well, I'll ask you, where is the I right now? It's just another concept. It's just another thought. That's all it is just another thought. Right? What are you without the I right now? What are you without the observer right now? This position that I'm somewhere behind my eyes, navigating life. What are you without that reference point? And so even after this is seen, which is not hard to do, after there's been a recognition of no self, you could say, emptiness, doesn't mean that the thoughts aren't going to still come, right? They're still playing. They're still doing their thing. But it's like this, it's wild when you start to really see it, that it's just these passing clouds. But they've been programmed to seek. That is really the function of the identified mind, is to seek, is to look for what isn't, or to interpret what is in its own way through its own opinions. And so what I point to is the direct experience of what you are. That's not a thought. That doesn't exist in the realm of time, of made up imaginary timeline of a character, of only what's now. It's a grand illusion, right? It offers a certain experience for the character, right? You could say this is another expression of infinity, playing with infinity. So nothing's wrong, that this isn't an accident. But for those of the characters who've had enough, this is kind of like the way out of that story. And the way out of that story is right here, what's in between the past and the future. Or rather, what's in between story and no story. You can still have a story. You can still have anything. You are this space of freedom where everything is allowed. So it's not like the goal is to get to this space where the mind is just completely blank and you're just completely clear and there's no thoughts anymore and there's no triggers anymore and you're just like walking around all day being like, I am Brahman, and just like blissed off your head. I don't know if if you live in a city, it's just not. I mean, and I'm not saying that can't happen, but it also, there's nothing wrong with what's appearing right now for you either. Right? You think Ramana Maharshi or Anandamayi Ma did something to be in that state? It just happened. It was part of the blueprint of the body. And even that's saying too much. Right? But the mind hears that stuff and it's like, ooh, the end of suffering. I will ground myself in a position where I will never have to fear and I will never have to worry about anything again and everything will be great. But spoiler alert, that moment is right here now. Just take away the future. Because the future is where all the thoughts and the projections and the worries and the anxieties exist. Right? The timeline. So you want to get out of suffering, here it is. It's right here. And book a session with me, guys, or you can come on and chat because this is what I do. Right? And it doesn't mean that you do one session and all of a sudden everything's going to be amazing and everything's going to, it's we've been living like this our whole lives, right? So it can take some repetition sometimes because the mind is very sneaky and it will want to continue its existing by just creating more problems, more imaginary obstacles that it needs to get through in order to just keep thinking, right? It creates the problem, right? I'm not awakened. I'm suffering. I need to heal. And oh, okay, there's an I that needs to heal. Another thought pops up. Well, let's heal. Well, let's start watching all these videos on YouTube. Let's check out all these teachers. Let's get to this imaginary moment when everything will be healed. And again, I'm not knocking healing, but there comes a point where it's enough, right? You're not going to heal your way into the present moment. You're not going to heal your way into non-duality. Those are just concepts. Those are just ideas, right? The mind wants certainty. The mind wants to never be judged. It wants to never fail. It wants to always be right. But notice how most of those problems that it's imagining, that it's trying to keep itself safe from, are not things that are happening right now. Hello. Hi, Ritesh. Hi, Rashid Din. Good morning. Nice to see you tuning in from Malaysia. What's a good way to turn awareness on itself? There is no turning awareness on itself. You are aware right now. You are it right now. Take away the concept of awareness. What's here? Take away the concept of getting somewhere. What's here? Right? It's like you're trying to find your own self, but by finding your own self, that creates an I and a self to find. But take away all of that, what's left? There's nowhere to like hang your hat and say, this is it. It's just really whatever's appearing in the moment. But the mind wants to keep itself safe from all of its projected fears that it imagines will happen, but they're not actually happening. It's already safe right now. Right? Right now. You, right now. I haven't seen one single gunman at all in the house since I started this call. And it's probably the same for you. The suffering comes from believing the commentary about the moment. Believing that once I achieve some certain state, everything will change and I will try to seek for my true nature and this awakening through philosophical beliefs, through practices, through purification. But what if the only thing that needs to change is the belief that something needs to change? What if you just see through that? Because who's the one that wants to change? Where is the I that's unsatisfied right now with life? Can you find it? Can you find a problem right now? If you don't refer to the past or the future, can you find a problem right now? Is anything missing right now? Nowhere to be found. Yeah. Nowhere to be found. Other than a thought that you're not even choosing. So what if you just try to stop, don't even try to stop the thoughts right now. Don't even reference them. And even if there is a referencing of them, big freaking deal. Just drop. Drop, drop, drop. Right? What are you without time? What are you without your memories? There's this slow unfolding into a contentment, right? Don't wait for fireworks. Don't wait for some light to flick on that in some moment that changes everything. Don't wait for that. That's just an idea. Don't wait for the self to drop away. That's just an idea. Don't wait for you to feel love constantly. That's just another idea. Everything is love. Everything is consciousness. Everything is God. Those are just ideas. Those are just words. What are you without words right now? That's it. So there is no problem, and that includes thoughts. Thoughts aren't a problem. A problem is even just another thought. It's just another concept. Like a mistake. And I still use these words, it's okay. Right? It's not like I'm like, I don't know what you mean when you say I feel. Or I don't know what you mean when I say I regret. Like I'm not distancing myself from society and pretending that I'm some special being that just doesn't have any reference points to human life. No. And it appears differently for everyone. Like sometimes there's people that like, you know, they can't stand small talk, or they can't stand like watching television anymore, or they can't stand certain people, or they become really attracted to other things. There can be changes and shifts, but it's different for every single person. Right? But the mind wants to constantly, it wants to like reverse engineer awakening. So it's like, oh, okay, awakened people. And I don't even know what that means anymore, to be honest. There's just a clear, natural, authentic expression of being here. And it's the same for you. The space that I'm in is the same space that you're in. There's nothing special about me or any of these teachers that are talking about these kinds of topics. Nothing special. So really do not deify these teachers. Do not put them on a pedestal. Do not think that they're a guru or that they know something more than you, right? Or that they got it. I have people asking me questions a lot of the time, and sometimes I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't have all the answers. But I can point out that your questions are made up. It's not like because you're clear all of a sudden you know what happens after death and you're just in this special state all the time. There's really just, it's like there's less resistance, and there's just a clear space here that's just starts to feel more down for whatever life brings it. Right? And that doesn't happen because you're doing all these things to get to a future moment later. That happens because you're recognizing what's here now. Right? What people are pointing to when they're talking about awakening is the recognition of now. Just keep it very, very simple. The recognition of here. And in this here space, there's a peace. Many people say, or at least there's like a neutrality. There's like a grounded, authentic feeling that this is the only thing that's happening right now. How could there be anything else happening right now? I mean, can you find anything other than what's happening right now? Ritesh says, because they didn't really acquire anything new. It's always here for everyone. Yeah, it's your birthright, right? And it can be hard for the mind to accept that because we've been so trained to seek. And really because we've been so trained to be oriented to the thoughts, and the thoughts are basically seeking because it's past and future. It's referencing what is not. It's referencing its own interpretation of labels and stories and identity and goals and future, right? So we're just seeing through that illusion and beginning to orient to the non-illusion dimension of just the direct reality of what's here, right? So if what's here is appearing as thoughts, let it appear as thoughts. If what's here is appearing as a trigger, that's it too. If what's here is appearing as a breakup, right? Or a challenging situation with your boss, right? That's it too. Or an injury, that's it too. But do you need the narrative around it? Do you need to create another problem on top of that that resists what is and tries to fix what is, and then creates a narrative about why I'm bad because this is what's happening? I mean, you can do that too. There's the freedom for that too. But once you start to tap into this clarity, that just begins to feel like something that doesn't make sense to do anymore, right? Like, it doesn't make sense to believe in Santa Claus anymore, right? Like, that just doesn't make sense. As much as you want to, guys. I know, I want to too. I wasn't actually allowed to believe in Santa Claus. My parents were Christian and they wanted to keep the Christ in Christmas. So they told me that there was no Santa, and there was no tooth fairy either. There was the tooth angel. Yeah. So thoughts are still helpful. We can still use them for planning, for problem solving, for communication, for relationships. They're not a problem. They're a useful tool, but they get away on us and they start to create a reality that's not actually happening, right? They start to offer explanations for a reality that doesn't need an explanation. And that's why we begin to get so inundated in all this spiritual mumbo jumbo. As sacred and holy and divine as they want to make it out to be, it's really just what's right in front of your face. Okay, we can create these holy symbolism and we can do all, like with Zen or whatever, where they're just like exhausting the mind and beating it into submission so it just finally lets go. Or when we deify and pray to the Buddha or Shiva or Christ, right? And we imagine that there's this grand mountain to climb in order to become our true self, but it's right here, guys. That's the illusion, that it's not here. Spirituality just becomes another matrix, right? It just becomes another expression of ego. And again, this isn't a rejection of it. There's value. Of course, we're going to create value around the concepts. Like, of course, that's going to happen. The mind's just like, concepts, concepts, concepts. It loves it. But if you're really interested in the truth, if you've made it this far, there is no gold at the end of the rainbow. What you're left with is just this ongoing present moment, this ongoing unfolding of life that you've been in the whole freaking time, right? But now you don't need the tour guide of the mind, right? The tour guide of the mind that doesn't even know what awakening is. It just imagines what it is. And it's like, oh, I'll take you. I'll take you. Let's read all these books. Let's go to all these teachers. Let's become holy and wear mala beads and wear white linen. Then I will have more spiritual energy, right? Then Krishna consciousness will bless me. It's all innocence, though. There's no judgment towards that. I had fun. I had fun playing that role. It's like children playing, right? You put on your mom's clothes and her lipstick and you dress up. At least the women do anyway. Maybe some of the guys do for fun too when they're young. It's all play. It's all fun. But when you're ready to see through it, and this is very radical what I'm talking about too. I'm talking about all the spiritual institutions that talk a big game, right? All of these levels and these initiations to get to this thing called enlightenment. But enlightenment is just a thought. You know what enlightenment is? What are you right now without the concept of enlightenment? That's what it is. What are you right now without all your spiritual concepts right now? What's here right now that doesn't need a concept in order to exist? The very first non-duality retreat I did was in India. It was a 4-day retreat, actually on my birthday one year. And on the first day, we all got a little printed out pamphlet with, it was 10 pages or something. And the first thing I read on it, the very first, at the very top, it said, "You're already it. It's already what you are. It's already right here." Okay? That was all that I actually needed to know. That was it. That was my entire 10 years of non-duality journey, was that sentence right there. I could have ended it. I could have walked out and gone and celebrated my birthday, gotten high on the river. But instead, it's already here. And now here's 10 more pages of philosophy of what holy people said. Here's a bunch of meditations that we're going to do. Here's a discourse where you can ask this Swami a bunch of questions. Here's a practice of abiding in awareness. Here's some japa to do. Here's some chants to do, so that you can realize that you're already it. Right? And that is the trap. Because we hear it's already it. And okay, it's already me. It's already here. Wow, okay. But then it's a contradiction, because it's saying, but then here's all the things you have to do. It makes no sense. Because if it's already what you are, then it's already what you are now. So with the direct pointing, it's just pointing, pointing, pointing. What are you without seeking right now? What are you without the future right now? What are you without your concepts right now? It's experiential, right? And so, we hear this beautiful message of non-duality or of awakening teachings, and a lot of people get it right when they say, this is it. It's already here. But it turns conceptual, and it turns into a massive trap, because there's all these add-ons. You got to heal your trauma. You got to embody your nervous system. You got to get into the senses, right? You got to open your heart. You got to be a good person, right? I've still got my Om ring, actually, from that time I had in Rishikesh. It's beautiful, actually. It's silver. I still love it. I still love symbolism. It's still like the gods and the goddesses, especially Hinduism, is interesting still to me. I still love concepts, right? I'm an astrologer. There's value to that. It's interesting. But it's not the same thing as the direct experiencing of your true nature. Because the direct experiencing of your true nature is not found in a concept. It's just that one tiny little mistake that we make that blows up into a 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. I've talked to one guy who was seeking for 60 freaking years. Had one glimpse his entire life. One glimpse. Yeah? Did a session with me. One session. And he saw that there was no self. Again, doesn't mean that he went riding off into the sunset and everything started shining. But there was just a slow unfolding that began to ensue, right? Once this direct experience is realized. And it's not hard, guys, right? This is the evolution of spiritual understanding, of it's not even understanding, of spirituality. And even throw out the word spirituality. I don't even want to use that word, because that's just another roadblock. Spirituality is the roadblock, right? Why do you need to learn all this stuff to realize what you already are? Why do you need to be spiritual to be what you already are? I was talking to a woman a couple days ago, and she was pretty deep into this clarity. She did have a few questions for me, and she was telling me about how her son, she'd been spending more time with her son now because she stopped seeking. And she said that, his personality was always just a bit more, just relaxed, just, taking things as they come. And she kind of discussed this stuff, and she had been seeking for a while. And she was discussing the realizations and the clarity that was coming online with her from our sessions. And he was like, oh yeah, no, that's, it's just this, right? There's nothing more. It's, just things happen. Life changes. And she was like, he works in trades, never really got into yoga or anything, but there was just this kind of natural, but with the seekers, many times there tends to be almost this kind of neurotic, mental, trying to figure things out personality that it can easily get one lost. And that really is the topic of spirituality. It is like an empty hole. And not in a bad way necessarily, but just in a way that there's nothing here for the character to gain. Okay? Because the final biggest spiritual understanding attainment is the recognition of this emptiness, is the recognition that there's nothing more than what already is. And it's not even, I mean, it can feel profound in one way, but it can also just feel like a duh. You spent 10 years to figure that out. But in that, there is a fullness, right? In that is actually everything. And sometimes we do need to go on a massive journey for that. But what else are you going to do with eternity, right? What else are you going to do with infinity? You're going to play these games.